Europocalypse. It's not my word, it's Elena's word. It's the word she's using to describe all the newspapers' coverage of the Euro crisis, isn't it?
Europe plays its last card today in Brussels, according to the front page of Le Figaro. It's a similar headline from what we've seen on lots of papers, and we've got the same photo with Angela Merkel and Nicolas Sarkozy on at the front of at least 3 newspapers this morning. So headline writers possibly also a bit fatigued with the ongoing Euro crisis. But in terms of analysis, today's focus is on the relationship between Nicolas Sarkozy and Angela Merkel and this sort of Franco-German power struggle that's supposedly going on over exactly how the European Financial Stability Fund is going to be leveraged to increase its firepower and where this money might come from. Now, Le Figaro says in its editorial that while Nicolas Sarkozy's idea for he wants the European Central Bank to play more of a role, while it might be a good idea, he needs to accept that it's only Germany at the moment that really has the political clout to tell anyone what to do about the euro, and therefore he needs to toe the line and just agree with whatever plans Angela Merkel wants to put forward.
What about the other papers? Do they agree with that idea?
Libération says European leaders are damned. That's according to a former investment banker that they interview on the subject. He talks about the idea of getting banks who Greece owes money to take at least a 50, if not 60% haircut. He says it's just not fair. The banks can't accept that kind of losses. Where are you going to get the money from to recapitalise them anyway if they are forced to make them? European leaders don't have that kind of money. There's no guarantee foreign sovereign wealth funds, which have been kind of posited as a get-out clause, will actually want to invest in those banks either. So the idea needs to be scrapped, according to Libération.
And every country out for itself. That's what Le Parisien thinks is happening. I thought it's always been like that, but anyway.
What is each country playing at, they ask on their front page. They say that all the leaders have kind of retrenched into their own national interest positions. No one's really thinking about the future of Europe as a whole. Inside they've got this nice picture where you can see all of them around a table. Well, on the left there we've got Papandreou, Zapatero and Berlusconi. They just want the credit ratings agencies to get off their backs so they can have any chance at all of trying to repay their national debt. On the right there, you've got Angela Merkel, the good student of Europe. She just wants the rest of the countries to obey the same kind of economic discipline that Germany does. And in the middle, you've got Nicolas Sarkozy kind of stuck between the two sides. On the one hand, he's worried about losing France's own AAA credit rating. And on the other side, he's still trying to push plans of his own, as we were saying with that European Central Bank idea. The Chinese president, Hu Jintao, is also in that picture. The paper says he's playing a much more important role than its readers might realise. China, they say, is playing a double game. On the one hand, Europe is one of its most important export clients. They don't want them to go bankrupt. But on the other, they do see a Chinese advantage in buying up those assets that Europe will be forced to sell off.
I still think they need to get Tintin off the front page around that table. He would solve the problem for them, wouldn't he? Euro crisis is not the only story sort of coming back onto the front pages today, is it?
Mr. Dominique Strauss-Kahn is in
Hooray.
trouble again on the front of Libération.
Yeah.
And what's he in trouble for now? 3 of his close friends have been arrested, a police commissioner, a political activist and a CEO. They're accused of running a prostitution ring that used public money and money claimed from expenses for the companies they worked for in order to organise what the paper calls libertine soirees attended by Dominique Strauss-Kahn. Apparently the police commissioner also flew prostitutes out to Washington to spend the night with the former IMF director, and so Mr. Strauss-Kahn himself could now be charged with misuse of public funds over this prostitution ring.
And as we mentioned earlier, the crocodile doesn't have anything to do with the prostitution ring, only lightly anyway. Finally, a story in the Parisien. This is about beetles.
It's about a particular kind of scarab beetles who are sexually attracted to beer bottle tops. Now, the scientists who discovered this have won an Ig Nobel Prize, Le Parisien said.
Okay.
These are handed out every year for scientists who make the most amusing discoveries. So apart from the beetle people, this year's winners include a Japanese scientist who's worked out just the right amount of wasabi that you would have to pump into the atmosphere before your nose would start itching so much the discomfort would wake you up, which she says would be a useful fire alarm.
Very, very useful. Fantastic stuff. All right, Elena, thanks very much. Elena Casas here with the French newspapers today.